Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first meeting of our Practical Research 1. I am Dr. Dary Dacanay. I will be your teacher for the subject matter. Now, first, let's talk about what the subject matter is all about. It's all about research, Research. Now, research is a complex matter. When you say complex, yeah, it's difficult because you would need to be able to come up with a new body of knowledge so as you can contribute to society. Research, it was created for which to benefit humanity. And that's why when you do research, you need to be able to, identify the gaps. You need to follow processes, and it should always be scientific in nature. So research has been done by many people in different parts of the world, and it has contributed a lot in terms of what we have today in our society. So let's start the discussion. Let me just share my screen to everyone. Okay, I hope my slide is visible. So I'd like to welcome everyone again to our subject matter, Practical Research 1. Practical Research 1 is one of course, the requirement in the senior high school because it is needed especially to prepare you into the world of uh, so-called information age. And it will also prepare you in your college and your university life, wherein you will later on be required to come up with your very own research. Basically, Practical Research 1 is all about qualitative research. Again, I repeat, it's all about qualitative research. Because in Practical Research 2, you will be doing your quantitative research. I will further discuss what qualitative research is in another topic. But basically, when you talk about qualitative research, we don't make use of numbers, we don't make use of measurements, we don't do computations. We would always have, or we will always use statistical tools to help us solve later on the research questions that will be formulated. Plus the fact that when you talk about qualitative research, you make use of your five senses. And when you say when you use your five senses, your sense of sight, your sense of taste, your touch, your sense of hearing, and in describing a particular scenario, a case, a phenomenon, which you are going to be able to get it from your very own participants. In terms of the number of participants for a qualitative research, normally you only have very few participants. According to Cresswell, you can have around 6 to 10, but that would depend on the specific research that you are going to be able to do, and that will also depend on the approval coming from the panelists after your proposal defense. And normally for qualitative research, you are going to be author specific. That's why later on we will study the important types of a qualitative research, which would include a case study, an ethnography. Okay? You talk about a phenomenology or a phenomenological research. And of course, we talk about the grounded theory. So all those would be author-based, and you will be studying those authors to be able to help you in your research. Okay. Also, another important thing that you need to know when you talk about qualitative research is the sampling technique. How are you going to get your samples? That's very important, of which we will be talking about in a separate topic, especially when we now proceed with the methodology. And so when you do research, normally a research would contain 5 chapters in doing a thesis. Chapter 1 would include, of course, your title, your introduction, okay? And later on in your chapter 2 would be the review of related literature. You will be getting important information from pertinent references and sources, be it online or printed. And the third one would be chapter 3, would be the methodology. You have to describe again the type of research that you have, your sampling technique, your population, and later on, your very own research design, your research question. And the fourth one, of course, fourth and the fifth one would entail the results discussions, the conclusion, your recommendation, and of course, a summary of your study. Again, all of which those chapters, we will dissect it by chapter. And later on in each of the chapter, you need to be able to comply in terms of the submission of the important outputs. And that's why in your research subject, there are certain rules and regulations that I'd like to be able to set in our class. The first rule is that during the opening of our classes, all of you would be required to switch on your camera so as I may be able to see if we're doing online, because we are doing the blended learning. So there are days that we will have our online classes and our face-to-face classes. Just in case I will not be around because of an important meeting, or I might not be around in school, I would be able to upload the video lecture for today. So number one, you have to switch on your cameras, okay, in our online discussions. Normally, I would take a photo, okay, of all of us that would serve as an evidence that you are present. The beginning at the end part also of the class discussion. Number two, I'm very particular with the attire, okay? I do not like to see students wearing their sando or the inappropriate or not the appropriate dress code during the online classes. So if I see you wearing not the proper attire, I will automatically put you in the waiting room, and later on would accept you if you already change your attire. Number three, please be mindful also of your background. Okay, clear out your background if it's just a white screen, or sana yung background nyo hindi yung makakaistorbo, okay? Because your teacher will be able to see it. Okay. Number four, your name. Okay, I'd like you to be able to put your complete name, or probably your first name and last name in your screen name, or otherwise I will rename you, okay, and into your complete name. What else? Normally, the class president or coordinator will ask the class coordinator or the president to be able to check the attendance. Plus, I think you have your subject tracker as well. Okay. Now, also, I would also require you to come up with your notebook. Although this is very traditional, but it will be very helpful, especially when you do research. So it's a must. But I will not check your notebooks. You're no longer grade school or junior high school, but the notebooks would serve as you being able to writing important announcements and lectures that I might not be able to present, because there are some things that I will say that are not included in your slide presentation, so you can take note of it. In cases that you will be having difficulty in terms of your videos, please inform me immediately. Also, those who will not be attending classes, please inform me as well with the your excuse letters, the usual that you do in the senior high school. Now, during face-to-face classes, Of course, I uh, would randomly, or I would check attendance, okay, check on their proper uniform, and then I would want to see also your notebook during the actual lecture, okay? And during the actual lecture, uh, would be more of the activities. Kasi pag online, normally I will be doing our lectures, okay? And then for the midterms, you will have to be able to come up with your um, research proposal, which would include chapters 1, 2, and 3. And in your finals would be your final paper, which would include all the chapters. So it would be a tough semester for everyone. So you better comply, you better submit your requirements on time so as you're not going to be left behind. The usual experience in the research class is that many of the students are not able to submit their requirements, so they end up rushing or completing their paper towards the end, which is really a total failure. I, as your teacher, would be able to know and identify whether you just cut and paste your work, or you have it, you've asked someone to do it, because in your research class, it's a process from the identification of the topic that you'd like. We will be doing activities with that, from the topic to the approval of your title, to the creation of your introduction, to the formulation of your research question, to understanding your research design, your sampling technique. Most importantly also is the review of related literature. Normally, I would require 20 or more references. Ano ba yung mga references? That would include the journal articles, the thesis, dissertation. Secondary sources may also be included, such as information that you will be getting in the newspapers, be it printed or online, news articles, and many others. So please be able to comply the requirements that will be asked from you. Just all that. Okay. So we now proceed. So practical research 1. So let's do this unfreezing activity. So I'll be showing you 4 pictures, but you have to identify what I mean by the 4 pictures that I'm going to send or to show you. So all these words in this game are synonymous or topic, which is research. So happy guessing to everyone. Okay? Ano nangyari? Oh, parang nakita nyo na. But you see this picture, you see evolution, you see positive, negative. You'll be able to see here, you ask questions, you talk about numbers. And when we talk about this one, you talk about a theory. A theory is something that explains a phenomena of something. Example would be Charles' theory of evolution. It would actually describe to us, explain to us the origin of the world. That according to Darwin, we come from apes, which up to now is still remain to be a theory. Yeah? And this is very important for research, because when you do a research, you have to have something or a backup, or you have to be able to explain where you're coming from, getting it from a theory, so that when you say something, you would actually substantiate, meaning you would have to tell them that the things that I say is in accordance to a theory or a particular reference. The second picture would be this one. A printer, where are you going, the direction, and you talk about charging it, but it would simply talk about an output. So in research, we actually need an output. So research will not be research if you don't do anything. So from the different chapters, from chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, may output yun. It will be difficult for you to do research if you do not do anything. And that's why you need to be able to comply from the creation of your topic. Okay, mag-iisip na kayo, pag-iisipin ko kayo later on. Of course, you have to be focused on your particular strand. Let's say your STEM, of course, more of the sciences, the technology, engineering, okay, and mathematics, no? So all topics related to it. Let's say you talk about technology. What about technology? Will you do a research about robotics? What about robotics? Are you into coding? Okay, or are you would want to find out the essence of why children are into Minecraft? Another one is that you would like to understand, let's say, why many students do not seem to prefer taking up engineering. Why is it that there are anxiety among students when you talk about mathematics and many others? So from the topic, of course, in the title, later on you will be doing an activity wherein kung approved na yung topic nyo, you will proceed with your title, and in your title, you have to be able to look for titles in the internet via the Google Scholar. So you just have to put there your topic or your title, okay, to Google Scholar, and it's going to be giving you hundreds and thousands of titles that you can actually see coming from journal articles, from thesis or dissertation. Hindi nyo naman kokopyahin yun. You just need to be able to check on it, and hopefully those titles would be similar, or you may be able to get important information that can be included in your research. The third one is this one. So you talk about different subjects, like you see here, there's English, physics, history. You see children raising their hand in their classroom. There could probably be a recitation. And we talk about research in education. Research is very important because it educates everyone, regardless of your age. It has contributed again to the body of knowledge, and many other people will continue to contribute to the so-called body of knowledge. Research is finding, new things. Hindi yung pwedeng research na i-research mo na nagawa na ng iba. That's not research. Okay? The best way to do it is, let's say, if someone does research, you might want to check on the recommendation of the research, and from the recommendation, okay, you might be able to extract important information for you to come up with the research based on the recommendation of a researcher. Then let's talk about the subject matter. To develop the critical thinking and problem-solving skills of you as a student, through qualitative research. I'd like you to be able to think. I'd like you to be able to reflect, to think deep, because there are many things in the world that we can actually do to help these many problems we are facing currently. Let's say the issues of yung sibuyas, onions, no? Maybe you can come up with an alternative for onions, and that could be part of your research. You could probably think of, let's say, teaching young people on how to be, or would have an information, a background information about basic agriculture. It's a bit sad, no, that we are in the Philippines, where we are, we have 7,100 plus islands, and yet we have not been producing that much agricultural products. Ano kaya yung problema? So, yeah, research would make you think, and the subject would make you think as well. The goal of the subject is to equip you as a student with those skills and experience to write your own research paper. And that's why in your research, you will be writing it individually, hindi group to. In my classes, I would normally ask them to write their research papers individually. But don't worry, because I will be helping you out on how you're going to be able to write your research papers. So, maging masunurin lang in terms of submitting the assignments on time. Now, in research, there's a process. Okay? As a flow of the subject, you need to conceptualize your idea. Okay? And writing it. And towards the end, you are expected to produce, again, your own individual research paper, which was explained already. So I'd like to welcome all of you again. Sabi nila, it's more fun to do research. Baka sir, ikaw lang yung nagsasabi niya. Yeah, it's really fun because you try to explore the world. There are many opportunities that would be given to you. Okay? I would admit that not all people would like to do research. But since you are studying, you need to be able to do this one. But the normal answer of students would be, we, hindi nga. Hindi nga. So when we talk about research, we talk about research as a basic definition of a systematic investigation into studying of materials or sources and many others. So this is not just, a one-click incident na naisipan mo lang. No. You have to investigate, and you have to be able to take a look at those materials, the references that you will be having or collecting, for you to be able to establish your facts, and later on you'll be able to draw out conclusions. It's also an endeavor to discover new or old facts. Okay, from the old and the new facts, you try to come up with a new information by scientific study of a subject, by a course of critical investigation. So noticeable in the definition are the words investigation, scientific, case subjects. So research, from the very word itself, we can divide it into re and the search. Re means again and again. So sometimes you get so tiring, no? Paulit-ulit na lang. And when there will come a point in when you do research, is that you will now be able to be in a point of saturation, which means that lahat ng mga sinabi ng mga participants mo or the references are all the same. So when you reach that level of saturation, you are doing the right thing. Now, you also have the word search, means to find out something. Okay, hahanapin mo through your references, through your interviews with your participants on finding out the answers to your research questions. So this would be this would include you collecting, organizing, and evaluating those data that you will be gathering. An approach concerning generalization and the formulation of theory is also included in research. Of course, may type dyan. For example, the grounded theory, wherein talagang you will have to be able to gather information from the ground. Normally, in a grounded theory, wala talagang literature. So your literature would you'll be basically getting it from your participants. So again, what is research? What we do when we have a question or a problem we want to solve or resolve. We may already think we know the answer to our questions already, but well, in fact, hindi naman pala yun. We may think the answer is obvious, it may be common sense, okay? But until we have a subject or problem, we have to rigorously do the scientific scrutiny or process. Our knowledge remains little more than guesswork or at best intuition. Hindi pwede yun sa research na you are just, a wild guess or dahil sa kutob mo lang. That cannot be. And process used to collect and analyze information to increase our understanding of a topic or issue. And it consists of three important steps. Number one, you need to pose a question. Ano ba yung gusto mong malaman na tanong mo in your particular topic or your title? Then you have to collect the data to answer that question, and you have to present and present an answer to that particular question. So I made this when you talk about research, letter R, it has to be reliable, because many people will question you. How sure are you that the ones that you're saying to us are valid, are reliable? And that's why you will be telling them later on, well, it's reliable because it came from a literature. It came from the following authors. You have to be specific. I was able to, go back to the participants and show them their answer and the results of my research. Research should also be encompassing. You go beyond. So going beyond, encompassing, meaning you do the extra mile when you do it. Letter S would be, of course, a scientific method. There's a science behind it. E, engagement. Yes, there should be an engagement between you and the participants. You have to be able to connect with them. For example, when you do an ethnography or ethnographic research, you have to be able to be with your participants for 3 to 6 months to truly be able to understand. There are two terms that you have to understand in the ethnography or ethnographic research: the emic and the mimic perspective. The emic perspective would be your very own perspective while you are in the actual research site. The mimic perspective would be the perspective that you actually would get from the community or from the members. And letter A is advancement. Oops, I missed the letter T. Advancement to improve current situations, to add on to the body of knowledge, to make a difference in the lives of people, to make our lives even more easier or better. R is rigorous, meaning you would really need to be able to work it out in terms of trying to look for the answers to your research questions. Plus the fact that letter C, it's complex, it's difficult, masalimuot, and that's why you're doing it. You're going into a journey, an adventure, which sometimes you don't know how to do it. But of course, the tools that you have, your understanding of research, will be able to guide you into your journey. And letter H, it gives us higher level of knowledge. You get to be more educated. You would have more information of the topic or the title that you will be engaged later on in your research. So, is our discussion clear so far with the basic definitions of research and what you think research is? So hopefully may idea na kayo sa mga maraming nasabi ko na earlier. But the normal answer, sakto lang. Okay? So let's continue. Humans are naturally curious. Kahit kayo, no? Curious meaning, in layman's term, no? Maraming, humans are naturally marites. For females. For males, males are naturally tolits. It's a term of the other term for marites. Atolits or marites. No? There's a car accident. No? Instead of moving fast, what normally would cars do is to move slowly. Bubuksan yung bintana at titignan, oy, sino yun? Ganyan, ganun. Or any other incident, no? We are curious as human beings. And that's normal. Okay? That's normal. But what are you curious at? Okay? Are you curious at the way other people look? Are you curious about how things work? Are you curious of finding out answers. Let's say, paano ba umiikot yung gulong ng kotse? Okay? Paano ba, how is it that planes are able to fly? How is it that a country, example like Taiwan, is is clean, uh, is very much is a first world country. So you begin to be curious on the reasons, and that's why we need to have a model when you do research. It's so called the inquiry model. And in inquiring, you need to be able to plan. Paplanuhin mo yan. So your topic and the possible informations, the participants, the presentation format, the evaluation criteria, then you will have to retrieve those information and later on you have to process it. Okay? So you got those, you have retrieved those information. So paano yun? Paano mo i-digest yun? Paano mo, of course, you have to be able to read it, no? For you to be able to really connect the dots. Ano ba yung connection ng binasa kong una, sa pangalawa, pangatlo, pang-apat, ano yung pare-pareho, ano ba yung differences? And then later on, you now are able to create, something. Okay? Ganito pala yung mga sinabi na, ganito pala yung mga hindi nila nasasabi. And then when you're done with it, you have to be able to share those information, and then you have to evaluate it and go back again to the planning. So that's the inquiry model. So in evolution, it made us the ultimate learning machines. And the ultimate learning machines need to be oiled by curiosity. Okay? I remember before when I came here to St. Patrick, I was very curious. What can St. Patrick's School offer? And so, with the experience that I have, I said that it might be good if we try robotics. I'm very much curious in it. So what I did was to talk to Lego in Denmark, ask them on how we can connect as a school. But later on, they told me that meron daw Lego affiliate dito, exclusive distributor, which is Felta Multimedia Incorporated. So with their recommendation, I went to Felta Multimedia Incorporated and I was able to talk to them, and yeah, it was history. Okay, and now we have so-called robotics in St. Patrick's School. So from the curiosity, ano kaya kung may robotics dito sa St. Patrick's School? Think it would make things better for the school? Well, in fact, it did, no? So evolution made us the ultimate learning machines, and the ultimate learning machines need a healthy dash of curiosity to help us take full advantage of this learning capacity. Okay? Parang nawala. So in an inquiry-based learning, or the IBL, it's a form of active learning that starts by posing a question or question problem, a scenario, rather than simply presenting the established facts or portraying a smooth path to knowledge. So this was discussed earlier already of the concepts of inquiry-based learning. According to Drayton and Falk in 2001, there are following characteristics that we have to consider in doing this one. It's an authentic real-life problems. It capitalizes on your very own curiosity. The data and the information are actively used, interpreted, refined, and digested, and the many other descriptions. Okay, basahin nyo na lang yan when I get to give you the PDF copy of this presentation. So, why inquiry? Tell me and I forget, show me and I remember, involve me, I would understand, and inquiry implies involvement that leads to understanding. Seeking the truth, the process of inquiry begins. So with gathering of information, the data through applying human senses, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and even smelling. So yun, yung 5 senses, no? The seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and the smelling. So remember, for example, in qualitative research, mabalik tayo sa qualitative research, when I show you this ball pen, describe this ball pen using qualitative terms. You don't give me measurements or numbers. You give me descriptions. The ball pen, it's odorless. Wala siyang amoy, not unless you put perfume on it. The ball pen, basing it on the sense of sight, it's color, the cap is color blue. There is color black on it. Okay. So, it's smooth. Okay, basing it with the sense of touch. So, according to Albert Einstein, imagination is the highest form of research. So, walang masama na mag-imagine on the things that you can contribute to the world. Albert Einstein did it. For example, this DNA nanobot was created that can target and kill cancer cells. When you talk about a nanobot, maliit na maliit yan that is put inside the body and that could actually check on or see those cancer cells and be able to eliminate it. That's a product of research. And scientists at the MIT created a robotic fish in order to help study ocean life. Kasi nga, humans can only stay for a number of hours, no, you having oxygen and water. But if there is a robot or robotic fish, the robotic fish can stay longer, so as we may be able to get more information in the ocean. And of course, Qatar's Oredo test, okay, they have already the so-called self-driving 5G flying taxi. Meron na sila nito. I don't know how much it is, but it's actually working already in Doha, Qatar. In UK, this was in 2021, but now there are already actually driveless cars, no? Here in the Philippines, meron na. Okay? I think ito yatang Ford Titanium yata to. We are kaya niya hindi naman kaya mag-drive, kaya niya na mag-park mag-isa using artificial intelligence. So, in Taiwan, there are also a couple of artificial intelligence cars that can drive on its own. See, the product of research. So, it is creating new knowledge, according to Neil Armstrong. For example, very interesting data, basing it also in research, that the happiest countries in the world, at least ang Pilipinas kasama dito, we belong to the top 5 happiest countries in the world. At least, no? This is also a product of research, no? Trying to be able to find out countries who are happy, and you see here the data. Hindi ko na napakita yung video. There has to be a video here. So how do we measure skills as they demonstrate in the real world? So again, we go back to the importance of research. Okay. So this is the importance of research in our daily life. It promotes people's interdependence or interpersonal relationships that the world needs for solving its societal problems. It happens in the different fields, from communication, education, engineering, the law, nursing, and many others. You do research. From the internal aspects, people cannot measure worldviews, but they can do it now through yung descriptions, yung numbers. Obtaining world knowledge in this manner directs you to do a research called qualitative research. Na yung hindi magagaling sa numbers, na pwedeng gumawa ng research. Premium on high value on people's thinking or point of condition by their own personal traits. Takes place in the sub-sciences like social sciences, politics, economics, humanities, education, psychology, nursing, and all business-related subjects. So it helps in a way of understanding, interpreting our social interactions, increase your interest in the study, your experience, your background knowledge, interpreting the verbal and the visual data, and it offers ways of acquiring examining knowledge about something. So when we do research, hopefully you will be the change that you want to see in the world, and it all starts with you. And what is the role of research during the pandemic? So yeah, we all know what this pandemic is all about. Okay? Yung mga vaccines. Yeah. So because of research, we have yeah, we have stopped the spread of this COVID-19 because of the vaccination. It protected, people. But despite that, the research continues to us to really, put an end to this COVID-19, and that is because of research. Okay, so I think been talking too much already. So that's our first meeting talking about what research is all about. And the next topic, we will be talking about um, the characteristics and processes and ethics of research. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening to our discussion on what research is all about. When we go to our face-to-face classes, we will be talking about what research is, and hopefully would ask you later on to think about your topic, yung mga topics na gusto nyo gawin, at pag-uusapan natin yan in our face-to-face classes. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, and God bless everyone. Goodbye.